It's 2 a.m., and while you're asleep, a tiny snout is systematically testing every square inch of wire mesh looking for weakness. Corn snakes consist of almost pure muscle, evolved specifically to compress their bodies through microscopic subterranean crevices. If the skull can pass through a gap, the rest of the snake follows. If they breach that lid, they don't find freedom. To a corn snake, your living room is a freezing, lethal wilderness filled with dangerous drafts, toxic household chemicals, and roaming household pets. The most common beginner error is viewing a reptile terrarium as a decorative display case for a bedroom. Keeping this animal alive requires a different approach. You are engineering a dynamic, multi-layered biological containment unit. This enclosure stands as the single most critical variable determining whether the snake dies in weeks or lives for 20 years. The first engineering challenge is spatial scale. Many owners purchase a massive, adult-sized enclosure for a tiny hatchling snake to avoid the cost of future upgrades. However, vast open spaces trigger severe predator anxiety in hatchlings. This feeling of exposure leads directly to acute stress and immediate feeding refusals. This diagram illustrates the necessary progression. You start a hatchling in a 10-gallon tank, move to a 40-gallon breeder for a subadult, and eventually house a full-grown adult in a 4x2 by 2-foot PVC enclosure. The mathematical rule for upgrading is simple. A snake requires a larger unit the moment its body can stretch longer than 2/3 the length of its current enclosure. In biological containment, space is a resource earned through growth. Managing the scale correctly prevents the cycle of stress-induced starvation. System 2 is climate control. As woodland ectotherms, corn snakes rely on a precise external thermal gradient to power their digestion and immune systems. Enclosure materials dictate the stability of this climate. Screen-top glass tanks chronically bleed heat and humidity, whereas solid-topped PVC enclosures function as the industry standard for adult temperature retention. Target an 82 to 85 degree warm side and a 70 to 75 degree cool side. Place an under-tank heater exclusively under the warm side. Unregulated heaters exceed 120 degrees, causing burns. You must use a digital thermostat to stabilize the heat zone. The proportional thermostat serves as the central brain of the entire thermal life support system. System 3 is psychological security. Corn snakes are obligate burrowers and require 3 to 5 inches of loose substrate to feel grounded. This leads to the 2 hide rule. Every enclosure must feature a tight-fitting hide on the warm side and an identical one on the cool side. Without this balance, a snake is forced to choose between regulating its body temperature and hiding from predators. This conflict creates chronic immune-suppressing stress. System 4 covers perimeter defense. On it for flexing screen clips, unsealed cable pass-throughs, and gaps in sliding doors. A perfectly engineered interior floor plan reduces the pressure on these exterior defenses. A secure snake rarely attempts to break out. There is a specific irony to the corn snake's reputation. A relentless nightly desire to escape is almost always a diagnostic symptom of a failing containment system. If the environment is too hot, too cold, or too exposed, the snake has no choice but to probe every perimeter weakness to find a survivable microclimate. When the thermal gradient is locked and the substrate depth is correct, the pacing stops. The animal settles into a docile, natural rhythm. Engineering this space correctly delivers a flawless, self-contained slice of the natural world, securing a healthy 2-decade lifespan for your snake.